in this video, I'm going to be dealing with one of society's biggest challenges, which is anxiety and, even panic attacks. It's such a common feeling. It's such a common experience between the modern Western humans as we go about our daily business. It's very sad and actually quite scary in many ways. So hey, I'm Tony Vee here from the 10-10 movement, helping you to move from areas in your life where you may be struggling to living more of a 10 out of 10 experience, or living a more successful way of life. So yeah, before I start talking about anxiety and panic attack solutions, of which I have two for you, I'm going to share with you what I believe is the one key reason why this is happening to so many people, particularly, as I say, in the Western world. Now, here's the thing. I always say to people, look, there's two of you in there. Yeah, actually, how would it be? That's so true. There's what I call the real you. The real you is a very centered, grounded human being who lives what's known as in the moment. Now, this is a very rare human being. It's estimated that less than 5% of people live in the moment. So, what does that mean about the other 95%? The other 95% are living in what I call their representative. This is what's known as their ego self, or their ego mind is running their being. So yeah, look, think about it. Your mind has got sort of two parts to it. It's got this egoic part of it, and then it's got this more connected, more spiritual, shall I say. It's an interesting word, that spiritual word, could be taken in so many guises. But yeah, look, let's say we've got a more spiritual part of us for which so many of us have become disconnected. So let's talk more about the egoic self, because the egoic self has what I call an operating pattern. It's like a computer, it has like a system. In fact, we could use good old Windows on the one hand and Mac on the other hand. These both run your computer, but they're different operating systems. Now, with 95% of humans living in a more egoic mind, what the consequences of that has become, because my belief is that we've actually taught each other how to live in this part of ourselves rather than this part of ourselves. Panic attacks, anxiety do not happen when you are in this 5%. They definitely happen when you're in the 95%. So, what is the 95% doing? Well, how is the ego mind operating that leads to this experience that we've come to call anxiety, which for some leads to a deepening anxiety, which leads to what we call a panic attack. So, what the ego mind does is it does not live in the moment. It does this thing where it lives primarily in the future. So if you think about it, when you're anxious, look, this makes so much sense, so listen up, yeah? Honestly, when we feel anxious, check in with yourself. When you feel anxious in any way, are you thinking about the future? I can almost guarantee that that's exactly what your egoic mind is doing. It's stepped into the future. This means it hasn't happened yet. But the mind gives us the illusion of this happening, which makes us feel anxious about it happening. But look, here's the truth. The reason that the people that live in the moment don't have this is because they're not preparing for something that's not happened yet. They're just living here and now. So when we're living in the future, we're worried about things happening that haven't happened yet. And this is what sets us off. It sets off a chemical reaction in our body, which has us doubting things, it has us worrying about things, and it has us anxious about things. And so, could it be possible that there's a couple of things that you could do to stop you thinking about the future that hasn't happened? Now, most people with worry and anxiety are on edge like all of their waking hours. So just check in with yourself. If you suffer from anxiety, Is that the way your operating system is operating you? Because if it is, then we need to find a way to just come back to the moment, to train yourself to live in the moment. But how do you do that? Well, there are two key things that you can do. One, the easiest way to change your chemistry of your own body. If you learn to breathe differently to how you currently breathe, this calms down the egoic mind and stops you focusing on the future. But if we put some attention to our breath and we start to breathe regularly, more consciously, in other words, we're more aware of our breathing, you can change your chemistry to stop you focusing on the future. Trust me, you can learn how to do this very easily, very simply. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you give it a go? Why wouldn't you check out this simple alternative? Right, that's number one. Learn about breathing. And the second string to the bow is the words that come out of your mouth. Now, this is another thing that you have to self-identify with. You'll recognise that you have what I would call patterns of language. When things aren't going so well, notice what you say. If you notice what you say has a profound effect on the rest of your body. What word would you use for anxiety that may quell the anxiety in you and bring about a completely different energy? Is it possible that one word change could change your state? And the answer is absolutely, but you can only do it to you. That's the difference. What we're normally doing when we're not feeling great is we go and get someone else to fix us, when actually you can try this stuff out and test it for yourself. See what happens. You just have to get committed and go, right, let me try that out. I've heard this guy, Tony Vee, say this. Let me test that, yeah? So if you're going to do one word, I would suggest this word. See how it plays out for you. When things are not so good, what you do to trick this part of the brain is to use a positive word instead of a negative word. So let's think about it. When something goes wrong, what do you say? I guarantee if you check it out, you'll have a negative low energy word which puts your body into a negative low energy position and brings about more anxiety, yeah? So the word I started to put in, it's just as a trick, it tricks your brain into thinking and your body actually reacts differently just with this one word. So the word I would suggest you have a play with, just try it out, is that when something goes wrong, you say the word great. And you might put, a bit of physiology in as well, because like a bit of body movement actually makes a difference. So you go, instead of going, oh, you go, okay, great. Now, what that also does, it tricks the mind into going, well, it doesn't know what to do with the word great, so you have a new chemistry. And when you say great as well, it gives you a moment to be more considered. So instead of an automated negative response, which often includes swearing words and the like, when you say the word great, you get a new experience, yeah? Now, so my thing would be to test this out. First of all, test out some new breathing strategies and see if you can bring yourself more to the moment. And then when things aren't going so well, test out changing your language. Change something that you say, give it a positive edge, and notice what happens to your brain and notice what happens to your physiology, your inner world, your emotional world, should we call it. So really that's it for me today. If you got something good from this, or if you certainly know anyone that struggles with anxiety, please do feel free to share this video with them. Just click the share button, copy the link and whack it over to them on whatever, social media, email, whatever, and maybe help them. Do it together. Play with this. Play with your breath, play with your language. You will see that instead of giving all your power to somebody else to try and fix you, you can start to take control of your own life in this very simple way. Now, I'm saying it's easy to say, but not so simple to do, and it does take practice. Don't expect it to all be amazing in the very first go, but with some consistent committedness to this, you can have a new life experience. So, As I say, share it away with anybody you know that's struggling. If indeed you're new to the channel and you got something great from this, hit the old subscribe button and the notification bell, because we put 2 videos out each week. And really, that's it from me, Tony Vee, from the 10-10 movement, assisting people struggling with life to move towards a more successful way of living, what I call a more 10 out of 10 life experience. I'll see you in the next video.